Now, have your attention, we are going to open Judiciary Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Okay, good. There we go. Alderman Fisher,
Present.
Alderman Mayfield, Alderman Evans, Alderman Allen. Here. Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January, she's not here.
Okay, we have articles, B for public passenger vehicles. We have rules and definitions. I hope everybody took the time to read those pages that we had. It was about 8 of them. And we have, in my eyesight, a pretty good ordinance, and it's on the agenda for tonight. So we'll open it up for questions. Gee whiz, it can't be that. Does anybody have any questions in reference? Mayor?
No, I just think that, we're trying to accommodate the citizens of North Chicago in regards to our taxi services. And, we've had some issues in regards to the residents saying that they're not getting the service that they felt, well, they deserve. So I think that with the police department assistance rewriting this, allowing more taxis to come into the community, and actually expanding it by one to bring another taxi company in will help to accommodate that, or help to alleviate that. It's taking those taxis that may only stage at Naval Station Great Lakes and giving them an opportunity to service the residents of North Chicago, lowering their service, because right now they're paying $1,000 for their medallion to only pick up at Great Lakes, but then with this new one they have less of a fee, which is $500, but then they be allowed to pick up more. And through that, we may get additional revenue. So I think it's an excellent ordinance that, again, Chief Perez put together and his staff. We want to thank you for those services that you did. And I think that's something we need to go ahead and move forward on.
Thanks, Mayor. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Alan?
That way, the people who come up to the commissary and get their sticker, are they gonna be able to? take those
Exactly.
stickers?
That'll take care of all that.
I just wanna make sure. we
Because
understand.
once they come and become a regular taxi, they can drive and pick up and wait for those, they can just drop, they don't have to just drop off, or they can wait for them, pick them back up, and take them wherever they need to go. Because right now, all they can do is drop off, they can't pick them back up.
Right.
This takes care of that. This takes care of that. It won't,
Also, we can call other taxi cabs in the city.
in some 7 or 8 or 9 different services now, so it opens it wide open.
Okay. I just wanna make sure you get a good sense.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll all be licensed by the comptroller and stuff.
Those that wish to.
Right.
you
You
know.
wanna wish to.
And I think one other thing that we did put in here, correct me, Chief, but we're now allowing them, especially at night, because a lot of times, a lot of taxis, cabs get concerned about the pickups that they do at night and the cash that they carry. This ordinance also allows these companies to be able to prepay, I guess you say. So at night, if between 10 o'clock and 6 in the morning, if someone calls, that cab company say, we need for you to prepay with a credit card or a debit card or something. That way they don't have to worry about cash, and possible, it also protects them as far as safety-wise. So I
Yeah.
think it's excellent the way they put it together.
Just to add to that a little bit, Mayor, they also have to keep a log for at least 6 months
Right,
of people that they pick up with circumstance. Not only does that help the public, that helps the cab driver also, because he's out there.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
we've had some incidents with, bad incidents like that. So at least there'll be a situation where it can be a follow-up. Anyone else?
So you're gonna put this on
Oh, yes, it's on the, it's on the agenda for
tonight, okay.
tonight, yes. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll adjourn.
So,
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second that we adjourn Judiciary Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I'd like to open up the Finance Committee meeting. Roll call.
6:05. Okay. Alderman Fisher,
Present. Present.
Alderman Mayfield, Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
here,
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
A two-item agenda. Item one, review discussion of elected officials' expense policy. Two, discussion and approval. Budget FY19 with additional changes. Good evening, Ms. Portofilo.
First item on the agenda is that we are bringing back the elected officials expense policy. This is something that we have discussed over a couple of meetings. Irregardless of what the alderman expense budget is, we should take this on its own merit and see if it is something that you would like to continue and accept, so that we have direction on what the alderman expenses are to be used for.
Questions, guys? Questions?
I do.
Alderman
And
Evans.
what's that expense gonna be?
Pardon?
What is the expense gonna be? Do we have a number?
We will discuss this after this.
Okay,
This
you don't have a
is more
number?
guidelines on what you can use it for.
Right.
So this will apply to every, budget year. Okay, so it's just a kind of a guideline on, okay, this
Well-
is what you can use it for, this is what you can't.
Okay. The guideline is fine, but I don't think the guideline should be before the number, because maybe they should know exactly what the number is gonna be, then they can follow that guideline. Because in preparing this, you guys had the numbers first, and then you had the guideline. So I don't know why we're pushing the guideline first before the number.
The guidelines will apply permanently. So
Right.
if, whatever the number is this year, or next year, or the year after that, the same guidelines will apply.
These guidelines was made this year.
They're designed to be permanent, though. They're not
Yeah.
designed to apply just to this year.
Okay, but
So
when I'm,
it's only a coincidence that the guidelines are being presented at the same time as the budget.
a coincidence. Well, like I said before, maybe we should start off with before we do the guidelines, and I don't know who's in agreement with this guideline, but I know the guideline was brought to me before. So therefore, I don't mind the guideline, but what I want to see first is who's gonna be involved with this policy, because the same people that wanted this guideline was the same people that wanted the number that we're talking about. So that's what I'm trying to find out. Yeah, but the guidelines, they've been in guidelines before. Right. No, I understand what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. So that's all I wanted to see.
Alderman Markham.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can this be applicable to all elected officials?
Yes.
So can we would you combine all of them, or just, because you got automatic or alderman? So how, we don't have to reword this, right? We can just, do you understand what I'm saying?
I can change, if you look at the first paragraph,
Right,
you can say elected officials are annually allocated. So
Right.
yes, that can be
yeah,
changed.
I think,
Be more general.
right, I think it should be for all elected officials, because you have elected officials' expense policy. So it should apply to every elected official.
Anyone else? Alderman Allen.
We wasted too much time on this here. Let's just leave it like it was before and just change that. Let's move on. We got almost $1 million we done spent in overtime and police, and we spend over here on some chicken feed here. Just leave it like it was, change it, let's move on.
You're talking about the number, Alderman?
Yeah, whatever the number is.
Okay.
It's $5,700, if I'm not wrong.
That was the,
Let's just make it plain. That's where it is.
No,
No.
I gotta
Go
say
ahead.
this.
let him finish first.
That's what the number was all the time, 57.
5,700, right.
Between everyone. Just leave it like it is and be done with it.
Alderman, you got something to say about that?
Right. I'm saying it just can't stay where it is, because the reason for that is because it's been like that for years. What you gotta do is raise it up to meet the budget. We could budget for a certain amount. We could budget for, but you're talking about 7 aldermen, right?
Right.
So if we're talking about 7 aldermen and say half of them don't even use it, it's in the budget. So it's not the actual count
Okay.
that it is. All we doing is trying to meet the budget, not to go over, not to exceed the
Right.
budget. That's all we're trying to do, right?
In order to try and avoid any confusion, the only item that's being debated right now are the rules for how you're allowed to spend the money that you will decide is in the budget later.
Okay.
So
Okay,
these
this
are
will be
just the rules that
talk about
define
that.
what's allowed, what you're allowed to spend it on. We don't know how much it is yet, but we want to create a set of guidelines to help explain what you're allowed to spend it on, what you're not allowed to spend it on, and how you prove up how much you've spent.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone
We'll get
else?
to it.
That's enough.
No,
No, I'm just saying.
Thank you, Adam. Ms. Portofilo, item number 2.
On each one of them. So you gotta make it right.
Okay, item number 2.
Fire trucks and stuff like that.
Changes
So we gotta make our stuff right.
of April 16. It basically takes the alderman expenses back down to the original draft budget presented in March, to 5,700, but it is one line item to be used at the discretion of the alderman, provided it is for alderman expenses. The second part of that is that, and you will hear from Mr. Chiricos regarding the HVAC. When he bid out the project for the West Wing HVAC, it came up at $175,000. We had budgeted $150,000. However, to offset that increase of $25,000, we made some changes to the projection for maintenance of building by putting off some work that was going to be done. So it basically is a net effect of 0 as it comes to that HVAC system. There's a decrease in projections for 2018 with it, if you want to look at it as a rebudget at the correct number for the HVAC. And Mr. Chiricos will speak to that in a little bit.
Questions?
Those are the changes, the only 2 changes made.
Okay,
Alderman Markham.
I have a question. Do you have the budget with you now, or just the changes that you talked about?
Just the change. What you have is how, what you have as Exhibit A, that summary.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm saying in the budget itself, you don't have that with you now, do you?
No, I can get it. It's in my office. But
Okay, because I had some questions about that.
what questions?
It was on page 28. I can't read that. It's 4960. It's $81,287. I had a question about, is that for new vehicles? It's under the police department.
And for how much, 28?
81,002
Those are the loans that are payable,
that we actually have.
yes.
Okay.
Those are not new. There is only one new vehicle, and it's really not a new vehicle. It is a replacement vehicle for one that was damaged, and we received insurance funds that will cover most of that cost.
Okay. And on page 38, where it says other professional services, are these actual numbers in terms of elevator inspections or plan reviews, cleaning, Centos, fire, et cetera, code enforcement? Are these actual numbers?
They're estimates
They're
based on,
estimates.
based on our knowledge and historical information.
Okay. And the contract that we have with the street sweeper, which is 36,000, is that that bidded, or that we just do that?
I will let them speak to that.
So,
So, all of that, the street sweeping contract that's on the agenda this evening on Public Works Committee is a contract, an extension of last year's contract that was bid as a cooperative through the
Now, my question would be, do we need it?
street sweeper?
Yes.
Actually, I would say yes. It goes, if I was to speak on it, yes. It does go, what, 4 to 5 times over this?
So we've actually got it for 8 rounds.
8.
8 rounds because that street sweeping is absolutely a necessity in this city because of the large canopy of trees and the amount of leaves we have. Because if we don't sweep the streets, all the runoff clogs our stormwater system. And then we have water backups that are even more expensive to clear. So street sweeping is part of our overall preventative program for street maintenance. And it's an absolute necessity. And in fact, it's far cheaper to hire that done than it is to own our own street sweeper, which we happen to have had, that we just converted into another use.
Okay. Well, since you're standing there, I had another question for you. It was in your budget. Just a second. Just a second. Had that number just a second. No, that's what I was going to ask. The contract that we have with Trotter and Associates, when does that end?
So there's multiple work orders with Trotter. Each project-specific element that they do for the city has its own specific scope and fee associated with it. So everyone ends at the completion of the task.
At their completion.
As every task is completed, that
Okay, thank you for that one. The police department. The animal control, that's 4460. You have the hospital, veterinarian care, 13,800. Food for the animals, 2,500. Animal control equipment. Well, first of all, why is it so much for the hospital? Is that, did that average out to that number
Yes, sir. Yes.
for the dogs?
For the dogs and the cats. the animals that come in injured, we have to by law.
Right, I understand that, but the cats have been taken care of by Fat Cat. They come out of their pocket to do that.
If they're injured, it comes out of our pocket.
Do you all reimburse Fat Cat?
Yes, sir. Actually, we have to pay for that.
Well, from
It's
what,
not fair.
she told me, they've been pocketing this and got a grant from,
She may be taking care of it on her own, however, by law, we're supposed to. take care of it.
okay, because, I'm hearing two things. One thing on there where we're taking care of it, and then they're stating that they've got money, donors coming in, taking care of these
We
animals.
also have some donors that contribute to the North Chicago Animal Control cause. That's a separate account that also is some of those veterinary care.
Okay. And next question is 4310, travel and training. Are these actualized numbers, or are these just increases that you put on here? For these seminars, workshops, advanced training, basic training, new recruits,
Those are based on historical trends, sir.
historical trends. Okay. All right, and one more, since you're standing there. And does that go also for your printing and publishing? These are numbers that basically have been consistent over the years? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I got one more.
Alderman Allen.
I just wanna keep, over $1 million over budget. What are your plans are for trying to get this gap? 'Cause back in the past, I know we used to tell the other streets that, and that number would go down every quarter, around $200,000 or whatever he was doing. What, ours going up? What are you got a plan right now, how you gonna get that budget at $1 million?
Actually, our budget for this year starts lower than it was for last year.
Okay, well, what the, it was $1 million and some dollars, so
Are you talking about the overtime budget?
overtime, I'm not overtime.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
the overtime budget
I-
right now is 16 officers under,
that's-
so about 75% of our overtime cost goes to shift coverage, so having officers cover the street.
We've been short officers since I've been on this city council, and I know this for a fact.
I don't think-
Okay, go back and look in history, the last, I'm telling you. And it went down from $1 million down to $700,000. I'm not kidding you. I'm just asking you gotta have a plan to see how to get it down, because I'm just asking you.
Hire more officers to make it, to bring it to a level where overtime can be reduced while the overall budget doesn't go up.
So we're gonna stay at $1 million and keep it. If you ain't got a plan to change that now, you gotta get something in place to make this happen, haven't we?
We can reduce the number of officers that we project out on the street. However, the residents will see a decrease in the level of service. That's the only way to do it.
I don't know.
Alderman Markham.
Yes, this is for the controller. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief.
This is for what?
Under your
Okay.
auspices. 4,400 professional service accounting support, $125,000. So what is that for?
Part of that, most of that is how I get paid.
So that's your pay,
Based on
125,000,
hours I work.
125,000.
That is an estimate, and it could conceivably have other.
But your pay is inclusive of that 125,000.
Right, so that pays our travel tax, that's what we pay.
That's what I'm saying, that's 125,000.
That's the estimate.
Yep.
Right, because she gets paid hourly, and when we send the time card in, they take whatever their cut is, and then they get her.
Right. Now, my next question then, follow-up question is, now since the
But if we
state,
hire her,
I have a
I'm sorry, but if we hire her, that would go down.
okay, now since the state is coming in and going to take money from us, what are we gonna do about this budget now? because these numbers really mean nothing if the state is gonna take $800,000 from the city. So, to me, this is a joke. If we're sitting here and we know that the state is coming in to take $800,000 from this city, which means there are programs and street repairs that need to be done that are not gonna be done because the state is coming in, because the city, this council sat here and allowed this debacle to go on. Now what are we gonna do?
You have to cut.
So therefore, it needs to be cut salaries.
You have to cut people.
That's right.
And assets.
So that's why we need to get this budget and revise this thing, because some people gotta go.
Right.
Any more questions?
Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
The folks who are making over $100,000, they gotta go.
okay.
Because we've got $800,000 that the state is gonna take from this city. And there's people out here been waiting years for their streets to be repaired.
Okay. What about the people who are working part-time jobs at full-time pay? Do they have to go or do they stay?
Anything that we don't need needs to go.
Got it.
Because we sat here I've been on this council for a term, this is my second term, and nobody discussed about these pensions. We've never had an in-depth discussion about how we're gonna take care of this crisis. And now it's hit us, and they're coming after us, and I had to read it in the newspaper and see it on one of these commentary programs to see that what they're gonna do to North Chicago. Why should I have to hear from outside sources of what's gonna happen in North Chicago? So I'm saying right now, this budget don't make sense if we're not gonna deal with that real issue. I'm heading right for the elephant in the room. And that's the elephant.
Right, understood.
Any more questions?
And Alderman, those things as we spoke will be addressed.
And I really don't care if the aldermen get any expense. Cut all of our salaries and cut all our expenses, as far as I'm concerned.
I got a question.
Alderman January.
Thank you, Chairman. I apologize for coming in late, so I might be repeating myself. I have to also, come behind Alderman Markham. I am highly upset to hear from outside sources about the state coming in to take the 800,000 out of our budget. Why were we not told? The mayor knew about this at least 4 weeks ago that I'm aware of, from my sources.
From
And
this.
nothing was ever, Mayor, shut up, I'm talking.
Oh, come on.
You tell me to shut up?
Please, be
I don't
quiet.
think that's appropriate, Alderman, but I'll let you go ahead and speak, but.
Because it's my
if-
turn to
if-
speak,
if
not
you-
yours.
If you.
You know what? I'm
Please
done.
address me
I'm done.
appropriately. Thank
You did not address appropriately to the chair. I am sick of this.
Anything, Alderman,
First of all, I would like to say, it's really sad that people would sit up here on this council and discuss things that they already knew. I mean, first of all of us that's sitting up here, we knew good and well as far as the legislative or anything else. Some of us may not known about this $800,000 that's involved, but I can't say everybody didn't know. Some people knew about it. I mean, but to come up here and then act like we didn't know, it was brought to me a few weeks ago about the situation. So if I know, others has to know too, because it was brought up. But the only thing I'm saying is that we do need to watch the budget, and I think, and I truly believe that you don't start with your legislation, because if you cut your legislation, that's who out here trying to help your city. So if you out here trying to cut what you're doing to provide the city into something, to keep the people knowing things, to keep the training that you need and administer that training into your city, that would help your city. True enough, you could go to different departments, you could go to different scenarios such as a temp or whatever, but this city needs to stop trying to pay things that we cannot pay. I said it before. we are trying to keep up with other municipalities. They got high-priced lawyers, they got high-priced contractors. We can't afford some of these things. So, yes, some of these things we do need to cut. But a comptroller, we do need, and a comptroller that's doing their job in our city. Because we've been through like 5 or 6 comptrollers here since I've been sitting here also. So it seems like that's one of the problems. Whether the cost is kind of expensive, we still need that comptroller to keep these things intact. I know a few of these aldermen have went to this comptroller, told her to do things. She's done them, and they sitting right here today saying no, no, no to everything that this lady took the time out to do. So whether somebody sit there and say, no, I don't care, no, I'm not voting on this, you guys was the one that said that you wanted her to do it, she did it, now you're sitting up here saying what you don't need, and it's not right. And it's not right. And one thing you guys also need to do is check yourselves when you're sitting up here. We got a mayor that's sitting here. What is the big fuss? If you don't agree with somebody, okay, don't agree with them. If you want to huff and puff, huff and puff. But why you got to do it out here? You can't be that angry about something that you're not getting done. Because I don't see nothing that somebody has done that's so important around here. And you know for a fact, some of you is not even paying taxes. You hear me? Taxes up here. Tell the people, you're not even paying taxes, but you upset with the mayor. You upset with the council. Pay some taxes, help the city.
I just want everybody to know that we found out about the offset in the paper too. When we found out about it, I said to Danielle, the state comptroller call you? We contacted by the state comptroller? We didn't get, we had no idea. We were trying to figure out what was happening here. We didn't know. We knew that the fire department.
And that was it.
Had done something that we'll talk about later, but we didn't know what the outcome would have been. So we read about it in the paper first, and went back and forth. Did the comptroller call you? Did the comptroller call you? Did you get any notices? We did not.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, Alderman, I pay property tax, so I don't know who you're trying to throw off
Oh,
on.
we got somebody up here.
That's number one. Number two, I'm just as adamant about this as you were about the cats. So please don't make it as though my being upset about this means nothing. Because that's, although you say we knew something, I knew nothing about this until I read it in the paper. And then on today, I went to the mayor's office with the information to show him that this is being broadcast about North Chicago. So if we're gonna sit here and act as though, oh, well, you all are doing this, we're wasting time. Something has to be done. And it's more than just the automatic budget that needs to be cut. It needs to be cut across the board. And if we're gonna sit here and just debate over a little bitty expense account, that means nothing. We need to be debating about bigger issues in this budget to cut stuff. We won't even discuss about the overtime of the police department. That hardly ever comes up. Those are things that we need to address, and they're not being addressed.
Alderman January.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, Mr. Chairman, I must apologize to the chair for my behavior. It was very unprofessional. I do apologize. I just ask that as chairpersons, that we do control our committees and make sure that everybody has their availability of time to talk and say what is on their minds and their opinions without being interrupted. So I want to also apologize to the mayor. I was very unprofessional in telling you to shut up. That was wrong of me. I apologize. Hopefully now I will be able to have part of my discussion with the rest of the aldermen sitting up here on the council, as well as with our comptroller and our chief of staff. So, again, let me start over. I am also with Alderman Markham. We have sat up here for 6 years now. We're going into our sixth term, our second term. And we have sat up here every budget, and we have asked about the pension funds. We have asked for cuts. We have asked nicely for 6 years now that this budget be brought under control so that when we need to finance and put money into these funds appropriately, that we are doing so judiciously and being very responsible with the citizens' monies. For 6 years, we have not. And we need to now, under pressure, which I was asking for and praying that we would not be under pressure to make these type of decisions where we're going to have to make cuts, and severe cuts. Because all these years, I come to find out that the pension funds are being dipped into, money taken out of the pension funds by the different firefighters, police officers, before they're even due to retire. So, again, I just want us to be fiduciary responsible up here. Now we're under pressure to be so. We don't want to be the next Harvey, where they're having to really lay off half of their people. I don't want to see that for the city of North Chicago. I want to see us continue to provide the services that our citizens deserve and need. We need to look at this very closely this year. We need to come to some sort of agreement on this budget. I'm more for let's cut the salaries. I'm not looking to let people go. If we need to, yeah, maybe we need to cut a couple of salaries somewhere along the line. But let's look at what the numbers are going to look like if we take and cut everybody across the board, not just looking at one department per se. Go ahead.
We're only gonna be able to cut the people who aren't under a collective bargaining agreement, so that leaves the CSOs.
And, you know, and I'm sure this was talked about before, because I kind of heard a little bit of it as I was walking in. The overtime in the police department has got to stop. It is way outrageous for this little town. And I'm sure there was some discussion about that, because I heard a little bit of it as I was walking in. So again, we need to really, really look hard at this budget coming up. Give me 1 minute and I'll let you speak. I want to address Alderman Evans and what he has said. Yes, I'm the one sitting up here on this council that does not pay taxes. But you know what? I buy here in North Chicago. I eat here in North Chicago. I go to the restaurants here in North Chicago. I buy gas in North Chicago. There is a lot that I do here in North Chicago purposely because I know I don't pay taxes, but I do pay rent, which goes towards taxes. So, again, for you to say that there's an alderman, I'll let it be known. I don't have a problem letting people know that I don't pay taxes, property taxes here in the city. But I do pay an enormous amount of rent for this area. And I happily do so because I've grown to love North Chicago as much as my husband loves North Chicago, where he grew up in. So I don't have a problem letting you all know that I do not pay taxes, as Alderman Evans is saying, but I do purchase here in North Chicago as much as I'm able to. Thank you.
Just to address,
Real quick, Alderman, Chairman,
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman, I do want to say I accept your apology, and I didn't mean to offend you in regards to that, but, you know, sometimes when you hear things that come, you express them without really delay. So,
To address the question on police overtime, here's things that you need to keep track of and keep in mind. You can reduce your overtime, but you're gonna be reducing services to your residents. Increasing the number of police officers will not really have a big impact on overtime, at least for the first year, because you're going to have these new officers that are going to need training. So the overtime is really not gonna be reduced. On top of that, the chief of police and I have looked at the cost to fully outfit a police officer with whatever they need to do their job, and it probably costs you $135,000 for each additional officer. So whatever you may save in overtime, you're gonna be increasing your cost of personnel anyway. Not to mention, the pension, your PT, your time off, your vacation, your accruals, all of that. So, you know, you squeeze one and the other one is just gonna expand, so you need to keep that in mind. As far as the budget for this year, I think this year we have been a little bit more conservative than I have seen just looking at past budgets. If you look at your general fund summary, the big difference is really on the revenue side, where I found some inconsistencies in budgeting. And if you look, it is really more in line with what happened in last fiscal year. So total revenues last year, audited numbers, were $23,900,000. Our current fiscal year estimate for revenue projections is $23,437. So we're very close there, okay? Expenditures, if you look at that, they are higher, but only the difference between what was budgeted last year was $24,500,000, and this year we're budgeting $24,900,000. So the differences are really minor between the two, okay? I think that some of these items that you're talking about is an accumulation of over the years.
But now, inclusive in that income, isn't that what the state gives us?
Yes, and we're gonna have to reduce it some.
That's what I'm talking about. So that 23 million is going to be $800,000 less.
Absolutely, yes. When we prepared this budget, we did not have knowledge of any of those things happening. I mean, this budget started when I started on January 2nd. So we had no knowledge of anything coming down the pike.
Any more questions, concerns?
Treasurer.
Ken?
In January, as a trustee for the Orange Chicago Fire Pension Act, really take exception to, you said that the dollars are being taken out of pension funds before the individual retire. Do you have any knowledge of that?
I'll be forwarding for the information. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Madam City Clerk, if I may throw a final on it, I'd like to have a definitive number on the council the next time for a vote by the council.
See?
Okay? Any more questions? Any more comments? Having none, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting. It's been moved, second by,
Second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, meeting adjourned.
Freddie D. I would like to open up the Economic Development Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher, Alderman Mayfield, oh, excuse me, Alderman Evans,
Here.
Alderman Allen,
Here.
Alderman Markham,
Present.
Alderman Brundles.
Here.
Alderman January.
Got 2 items on the agenda, discussion of Illinois Housing Development Authority abandoned resident property municipal relief program resolution and pending matters. Victor, you want to go over the?
Thank you very much, Chairman. So in the past, when I've been here, I've talked about how does the city continue their blight busting efforts with having minimal impact on the city's budget, and is there and are there opportunities to use someone else's money to continue the city's blight busting efforts? And we have done that. Over the past, we have applied to as many grants as possible. And as recent as 2 weeks ago, we had Lake County here awarding and presenting a check to $32,000 to the city for its continued blight busting efforts. Here this evening, what you have before you is a resolution. It's a resolution that was prepared from the Illinois Housing Development Authority because we recently applied for a grant under their Abandoned Residential Property Municipality Relief Program. This is a grant that we applied for last year, and unfortunately, we were not successful in obtaining any monies from IDA. This year, we have a different story, and I'm happy to report that we have been awarded, and we are being awarded $250,000 to continue our blight busting efforts. That being said, the resolution that you have in front of you authorizes me to sign off from the approval of the resolution forward, sign off on documents as it relates to the awarding of this grant money. Now, this money can be used to reimburse us for blight busting efforts for monies that we have spent in the past, but we can also use this money towards new blight busting efforts.
So how many? 200?
$250,000.
We've been awarded that, you're saying?
That is
You
correct.
better be praising it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then my question would be, how much did we spend for you're saying we can be reimbursed from this
We
$250,000?
can choose to reimburse ourselves for money that's already been spent, or we can use this money towards new blight busting
Okay.
efforts.
Do you know how much has been spent from the previous work that was done?
Off the top of my head, I don't have that amount.
Okay. Because it wasn't 250,000, is that right?
It was more than 250,000.
It was?
Yes. We borrowed $400,000 from the city's water fund to demo properties. So I can tell you that with confidence right off the top of my head. And I assure you that we spent over $250,000. But again, this grant is for $250,000. And we obviously applied for more, but this is just what we were awarded.
Okay. Thank you.
Pretty good. Okay.
Are the previous expenses that we've already incurred for the demolition projects that the city's completed, does that count towards the local match?
We can use that, and actually, we want to have discussions with them to clarify that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely.
Just one quick question, Victor. Is, we have in the house that we're looking at trying to demolish this year?
We are taking a look at properties that vacant structures throughout the community. Where what we want to do in round 2 of demolitions is take a look at those properties that were on the round 1 list, pick up from there, and look at other properties that are available throughout the community via the county's Green Book list. We think that this is a good option. This is a viable option of demoing properties because it costs the city less money to acquire the properties and ultimately demo it. Whereas opposed to if you're pursuing properties that are owned by private individuals, you have to go through that due diligence and notify the owners, and that just takes time, and when it takes more time, it involves more money.
Go ahead, Alderman Markham.
Okay, and this is great, but my question is still, what program or procedures do we have that once we demo these properties, that there's gonna be something to be rebuilt on them? What
I'm sorry, go
are
ahead.
there, any plans for that? If you understand what I'm saying. Once you tear down that house and you got that vacant lot, okay, are we, have a plan, a program together to put something back on that lot?
Alderman Markham, that is a good question. Most of the properties that were demoed in round one were owned by private owners.
Right.
Very few of those properties were actually owned, or for that matter, owned by the city. We have been discussing, what would we do in round two, given that the city would be going out there, or for that matter, it's my recommendation that the city go out there and acquire properties and own, demo properties that the city would own. We have had some conversation, and if you may recall, maybe about 45 days, or if not 60 days ago, we brought forth an
How many houses you gotta
ordinance
tear
or an
down in there?
amendment
Mhm.
to the city
You should
municipal
kinda put some of that money
code
back
that
in
would
that-
establish
in
the
that fund.
process for
Because we
the
keep
city
Right.
disposing
Out of
of
water
surplus
fund, we
property.
broke.
Right.
Based on that feedback,
That
based on the feedback
250,000.
provided at
Put
that
some money
committee
back in
meeting,
there.
we are looking at other viable options. But we have been thinking about how to put these properties back on the tax rolls and in productive use.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But on my behalf, I think we should put some of that money back in that water fund to cover that, because you keep going in this, like you're going in your savings, you keep going in there, don't putting anything back in, eventually that savings is gonna be down the nut. So just speaking from Alderman Allen, and we should be pushing at those people that own them homes and just riding them real hard. And maybe we can find somebody that may wanna buy the property. Maybe we should put a list out and let the people know about this property. It's been, maybe they may buy it, they may tear it down, or maybe go in and redevelop it. We go and tear them down. Somebody may say, well, I'll tear down and I'll develop it myself. So I'm just asking, we should be looking at that.
Alderman Allen, that is a good suggestion.
I'm just asking
I
questions.
do agree with you that if at all possible, it's certainly preferred to demo at least amount of possible. But there certainly are properties throughout the community that are not worth salvaging, or for that matter, rehabbing. And those properties that are worth rehabbing are being snatched up by private entities. But we can and we do at every opportunity speak with any and all interested parties to rehab and renovate some of our existing housing stock, because it serves a better purpose to see them back on the tax rolls.
Right.
And back on productive use as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Mayor, while you was gone, we need to put some of that money back in that water fund. That, I'm just speaking from, just think about it.
Okay. I mean, those are issues that we will have to talk about and see where that money.
And I understand, but I just, Alderman,
I agree with the city attorney. We need to get clarification. Can we do that?
okay, I'm just,
Yeah,
okay.
and make certain that we can do that. I agree with you.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I want to make sure we're doing it properly.
Okay, I just-
And we won't,
Get in trouble.
lose it, be defaulted because we, went in that direction. But if we can, we certainly need to.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Victor, go ahead.
And those are some good questions. Over the next couple of days, we will be getting clarification and a better understanding of this program from IDA. But we wanted to move this forward. We
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to do anything that would jeopardize
Right, correct.
the $250,000.
Right.
Well, that's why I was saying, don't spend it. Then that way, if you had to put it back, you can put it back, but if you spend it, you ain't gonna put it back. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Pending matters? I don't have anything. Anything else, Victor?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. I like to, go ahead.
I do want to ask a question, and I've emailed you all about this. The vacant lots that are on like MLK and some on Lewis Avenue, and they're owned by individuals. What is your procedure to have them maintain those lots in terms of trash, litter, and all of those things?
Certainly, good question. And Alderman Allen, you gave me a similar request a couple of weeks ago, and we're taking a close look
Right.
at our corridors, making sure that owners do as much as they can to clean up these properties. We certainly start with providing them a friendly notice, and if that's not successful, then we have to take it to that next level and provide them formal notice, and ultimately bring them in front of a hearing officer to seek compliance. Now, it is my hope that with the city's approval of this hybrid code enforcement officer / community service officer, that will assist and that will go a long way in cleaning up the city's corridors at a reasonable rate and be far more efficient about it.
Go ahead. Alderman.
I understand that, but with what's being dealt with, I don't see where I would agree to bring that officer on. Because of what's been, you know, thrown in our laps as far as this state situation. I was informed that there are groups that adopt the roads. Now, I think specifically when it comes down to those roads that are owned by the county, and ML King is owned by the county, if I'm not mistaken, or maintained by the county. But that building that's right there, I think you understand what I'm saying, right next to the Chinese restaurant, and the building in the, you know, back right there.
That dentist office used to be back in the
Right.
back.
You know, it's just trash all around it in terms of garbage in the bushes and all of that kind of stuff. And I know someone owns that property, you know, right there. And I don't see what the problem would be for them to hire people to go out there and, you know, maintain the property, pick it up. That's right on, as you said, our corridor of
That's
our
corridor,
city.
yeah.
You know, and you know, those various things, you know, a lot of garbage, bags, cans, all this kind of stuff. And then the second thing is those groups that have adopted these roads should be informed that since they adopted these roads, they need to be out there picking up trash and garbage. Because if they put their names down to adopt the roads, they need to assist us. Now, that's what I was informed by Mr. Wellman. Is that correct? So I'm just saying, we need to follow up with these groups. I know the county controls it and in that respect, but since the county ought to work with us. And if there's a group that is adopted that road, they need to come in and help us maintain these roads, you know.
Great, I appreciate that. And one, I'll take a look at that property that you described. As far as the second item, the program that you're talking about is the Adopt a Highway program
Right.
through the county. Now, I'll ask Ed to ask, but to my understanding, those sections of MLK have not been adopted by any organization. Ed, am I wrong?
Yeah, I was one.
Alderman and members of the council, just for clarification, the county publishes a map, and it's on their website for anybody to review, those county highways that do or don't have adopt a highway sponsors. But make no mistake about it, that is only when they say adopt a highway, that's right-of-way line to right-of-way line, fence line to fence line. What you're talking about, Alderman Markham, is much like what Victor and I deal with on a daily basis, which is private property owners not policing their own property. And so that's really where the issue lies. The issue is not so much in the county not doing their job, or the street sweeping not happening, or the adopted road folks not doing their job. It's more the properties adjoining the county's roadway system are in fact parcels of private property.
So the property that is between the pizza
So
restaurant.
much like I don't go on private property, nor does the Adopt a Highway groups go on private property.
So if there's a vacant lot there, that's what I'm talking about, between that building and the Rocky's Pizza.
They won't,
How far are they go out?
like I said, fence line to fence line, which defines the right of way. You'll see them along state highways, in the road right of way, on the state right of way.
It's generally
They do
8 to
not go on private property.
It's generally 8 to 15 feet behind the curb.
8 to 15 feet behind the curb. Is that right?
It's a estimate. It varies, but
Right.
That's
So
a
it's still a
nominal
good
value.
distance to
Not
go in and clean.
Consistent.
it's not fixed. They're not allowed to go past that.
I understand. So let's just say 8. It's still a good distance to pick up trash that's there. You see what I mean?
Sure. So for MLK, it's much narrower because it's not a wide right-of-way. It's basically the width of the sidewalk that exists along MLK and a very slight bit behind it. It's not the area you're talking about. It's not on private property. I just want to set the stage.
Okay,
so-
I understand what you're saying, but if you're saying from the curb, 8 feet from the curb,
That is a generic rule of thumb. I haven't looked at the right-of-way line on
Okay.
MLK to say that.
All right.
But, you know, if you're driving down residential streets, by and large, it's
15 feet.
Right.
15 feet past the curb.
And I understand, but I'm not, as I said, I'm not speaking about residential streets. I'm speaking about ML King from Green Bay all the way down to Sheridan. There are vacant lots that are in there that, you know, trash and what have you accumulates in certain areas that I know that somebody can go over there and pick up. I'm not talking about all the way over into the property.
So MLK specifically,
Mm-hmm.
a good guideline, a good rule of thumb for MLK is where the street lights are along the street.
Okay.
That's the edge of the right of way.
Okay, so that's the edge of the right of way.
There may be a foot beyond the street light,
Mhm.
but not much more. It's a very narrow right of way.
So you're just talking about the
Even
sidewalk?
the road.
You're just talking about that sidewalk?
So
And then,
the street lights are placed on the far side
Right.
of the sidewalk.
Mhm.
Where that street light is placed, and maybe a foot beyond the base,
Is-
is public right of way.
Okay.
Everything else is private property.
okay.
With respect to private property, the city has a program to abate nuisances, but there has to be a budget to advance the money in the first
Right,
place.
yeah.
And then it can get reimbursed later on.
Mhm.
But we have to front the money.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Victor, you can, we done. But you want to collaborate a bit on that, but we going out to Las Vegas about the grocery stores and retail? You want to do anything on that, or you? Because you want people to know that we are trying to bring the grocery store, you're trying to bring in retail, and this is what I'm trying to do to make this happen. So this is, I think it's important to let people know that, because everybody asks me all the time, when y'all going to bring a grocery? I'm telling you. So, Vic, will you collaborate on that a little bit about?
Sure, I'll share that.
I appreciate that.
No, thank you. So in roughly 2 weeks, there will be a trade show. This is the largest trade show of its kind, and it's by the International Council of Shopping Centers. This trade show is in Las Vegas. The trade show brings in all developers, retailers, and anybody who is there at this trade show. And it's an opportunity for municipalities, developers, and retailers to understand what's going on in the world of commercial real estate. It's an opportunity for municipalities to present available sites, and it's an opportunity to meet the real estate agents that are involved with these retailers looking for specific sites throughout the country. And so we will be out there in approximately 2 weeks talking to a number of different retailers, trying to attract them to North Chicago.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Any more questions with economic development? Okay. I don't have anything on the pending matters. So I'd like to entertain a motion that we adjourn the Economic Development Planning and Zoning Committee meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Reynolds, second by,
Second.
all right, by Alderman Evans. All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
You know, we have a pretty good audience here today. I'd like to ask that we go into city council and to recognize those that are here in regards to our agenda. And then, if necessary, we can go through the agenda, and as we come up on the different issues, actually have that meeting at that time. And then that way we can kind of get through this, because we do have, again, the captains here, and we do have the Exchange Club, and also a wonderful presentation to a young man who is well deserving of an award. So I'd ask that we go into city council and then move forward from there.
So moved, Mr.
Second.
Alderman,
I'm sorry, I don't agree with doing the regular agenda and trying to hold committee. I would prefer to continue like we've been doing, is to go back into committee.
well, well, let me just say, Alderman, I know that we've got quite a bit. We do have, because the captain and the new captain is coming in, refreshments
No,
downstairs.
I get
that we-
doing the first part of the agenda, but to do regular agenda, I would rather us come back out, do our committees, and come back in and finish out.
Well, If that's the pleasure of the council, I'm just trying to get through it so that we could possibly spend some time downstairs regarding the
New
the meeting with the captains also.
Commander.
Mr. Mayor, I say we should suspend things and go into the council to get this done.
So, okay. Well, if we could, I'd like to go in that direction, but that's up to council. I'd rather.
Do we
move
need a
forward.
vote, Mr. Mayor? Do we?
Alderman?
Question, okay, under human resources, you have executive session, so.
I think that executive session
That's the last
will be, we will have to go into executive session after council meeting. But I'd like to get all the other things out during the regular agenda.
Okay.
That executive session does not have any thing to vote on at this time,
Okay.
okay? And anything else that hasn't been voted on, we could take up again at their next city council meeting,
All right.
okay?